we haven't gone live for 2 weeks, so that's one of the reasons. We want to make sure that we answer whatever questions you guys have, and really just update you on some of the timelines. We received so many questions in the last week alone on how to expedite your work permit. So I kind of want to discuss that as well, because I see that work permit is a real pain for immigrants these days, just because there's very little consistency. As far as we're seeing, some people are getting their work permit literally right away, less than a month since they applied, and then some are waiting for months without anything, which is not really a bad thing, because I also see that very often situations like that, they just issue a green card without ever giving you a work permit, which is really nice. But either way, we're going to talk about all of this in just 1 second. Give me a minute. And if you guys have any immigration related questions or whatever questions that you have, just give me a second. You can just drop them in the chat and we're going to go over it. Like I mentioned, I see the work permit is a real problem, so I kind of want to tell you guys how exactly you go about expediting it, because I see that very often people think that it's a complicated process when in fact it's very easy. And it's especially nice because you don't need to pay the USCIS to expedite your work permit, so that's kind of cool. Since it's completely for free, you just might as well try. But otherwise, what else? Yeah, you guys should definitely check out the recent timeline. And then as far as updates go, really nothing is going on.
We have a question. Any news on the fees going up? No, not yet. And honestly, let me just say that you guys would be the first to know. We will absolutely make something on day one. We're going to send an email out. We'll make another video. We'll get you guys updated for sure.
Yeah, I am monitoring it all the time, and I'm not exactly sure what the delay is, just because I kind of did expect them to publish that final rule by now. But I wonder if the reason is because they are getting kind of a lot of pushback, just because this fee increases, they do make sense, just because, over time, the last time they increased the fees was in 2016. Obviously, since then, a lot of things happened. So it does make sense that they would raise them, but it just doesn't make sense to raise them that drastically. In some cases, it's like 130% more expensive than it was in the past. So I just don't even know how they're going to get away with it, but we shall see. Again, of course, thank you for being here.
Hey, Smiles. Yeah, thanks.
Exactly. Thank you for being here, and thank you for dropping your question. But just like I said earlier, here's the point of this live. First, I want to talk about expedite requests when it comes to work permits and expedite requests generally, because technically speaking, you can expedite anything, any form, including a green card, an I-130. It's just hard, but we're going to get into it. Another thing I want to talk about is really expectations, because I just posted a timeline of one of our members, like how relatively fast she got approved for a green card without an interview. And the interesting thing is that she was so stress-free during this process, like wasn't really like freaking out or anything, and then it just got approved. So I kind of want to talk about expectations, just because I know for some of you this process is going to take a few months, but then for others it's going to take a bit longer. And I think that when you guys see like all these timelines and you kind of start comparing, that gives you anxiety. At least that's what I'm hearing from our own clients, that when they see, that somebody got approved relatively fast, they're like, what's wrong with me? So we should definitely talk about it, because that's a huge issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's like one of the things, like there's no magic here. The USCIS is going to process it when they're going to process it. Just because it's a long delay, so long as it's not outside of what would be considered normal range, like the only advice that we can give you is be patient, because that's it. I mean, I think setting healthy expectations before you even start is really good, because like she was mentioning, that member of ours, she literally said in her comment that I don't check my USCIS account because like I just don't want the stress of it. And as a result, rather than sitting there every day being like, oh my God, it's not being processed, is something wrong, no, she just checked in once in a while, and this time happened to be a really pleasant surprise for her. And I think that's the way that we should approach this, because we obsessed over it, we got very stressed out, and when we finally got the result we were looking for, it was not this like, oh my God, let's celebrate and be happy. It was this, thank freaking God that it's done with. And
I can just move on with my life.
Yeah, and not really this like relief. It's just like, okay, what's next? Whereas I think our member, because we kind of like helped her, that's the entire point of what we do, is help you guys not be as stressed out about this process. And I think that she was way more just surprised and happy at the result as opposed to maybe resenting it.
She didn't even know that it got approved. Like, she went online and checked it days later. So, like, I think it was approved like a week ago, but she just found out right now, which is really a healthy way of treating immigration, but I know it's very hard. Like, I did not have any sort of self-control when it came to that, and I know that immigrants check all the time, but really it's not the healthiest approach. But let me get into some of your questions. Work permit approved but travel document denied, is that normal? No, not really. I have heard, I've never had those cases before, but I have heard that sometimes a travel permit could get denied. I wonder what reason they gave you in the denial letter. Again, not like it matters, but there can be some underlying issue that you might not be aware of, because there's really no reason why they wouldn't give it to you. So if I were you, I would speak to your attorney or to an attorney to just see why that happened, because there might be something in your case that you're just unaware of that happens. But otherwise, huge congratulations on your work permit approval. And also, would you mind sharing your timeline just so that we get an idea? Because like I said, the point of this live is to talk about a work permit because it worries people like real bad these days. So I'm kind of curious how long it took you to get your work permit, and I will share with you guys like some of our timelines just so that you have an idea as well. Hello again. We just received RFE letter yesterday for medical to San Francisco office, sending medical today. Huge congratulations. Please update us on when you actually get your green card, because sometimes after you send your medical, it takes them a little bit of time to approve your case. So I'm really curious how long that's going to take for you. But as soon as you have it, please let us know so that we can celebrate you. We're very happy for all of you guys who are getting work permits, green cards, travel permits, which just nobody's getting travel permits these days. Somebody asked me today if the USCIS still issues combo cards, because combo card, as you guys know, allows you to work and travel, and it's really convenient. I'm not exactly sure why the USCIS wouldn't just by default issue combo cards, because it makes perfect logical sense. Since you're already printing a card, you might as well just print it with an endorsement that you can also travel. But the USCIS is still issuing combo cards. We just had one of our members approved for a combo card, but the interesting thing is that she expedited her travel permit. So she expedited her travel permit, it got approved, and that triggered a combo card approval, which is really nice. Otherwise, it's kind of rare, and what the USCIS is saying regarding combo cards is that they discontinued it, which they did, and they still do it, but very rarely. But the reason is because they're prioritizing work permits, which in all honesty doesn't really seem like that's the case, because we're receiving dozens of messages literally daily regarding work permits and how long they take. So, and if you guys are in a situation where you're still waiting for your work permit, please share your timeline just so that we have an idea on like what's going on, because for whatever reason, there's literally zero consistency when it goes to these work permits. We see that some cases get approved for it right away, and then others are just pending forever, literally, without any update.
Yeah, because we actually got a question about like what would be the normal wait time, and there's really no such thing as normal. I mean, we
should be done in under 90 days.
Yeah.
In all honesty, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like because it can be really one of two situations where. Very often we see that people will be scheduled for biometrics. No, was it biometrics?
What?
No, there's two situations, like when you apply. Either way, you can get approved on the day, of biometrics, or you can end up basically getting your green card before you get your work permit. So really, either way, it's a waiting game. There's really no like average time frame as far as that goes. I mean, I wish we had something where they collected all of everyone's timelines. We could get an average of it, but it's really no such thing there.
Okay, I really like this comment. After 7 months, I expedited my work permit and got help from our senator, and it got approved. Huge congratulations. That is really, really great. And it's for all of you guys. I think the first step is always try to expedite yourself. But if, let's say, it does get denied or it just gets ignored like the USCIS likes doing, then you can definitely reach out to your local congressman or senator, the one who actually does constantly, has communication with the USCIS. And that way they should be able to assist, but it's always hit or miss. So like, just in case you guys actually do go that route and it doesn't work, don't get discouraged, because there are very few, in my experience, senators who are actually very helpful when it comes to that. But huge congratulations on having that approved. Hi there, Margarita. Guess what? Well, I really hope that you got approved for a green card. Like, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Yay! I am a U.S. resident. Can I petition my 22 single son? Oh, okay, no, sorry. That's the wrong message. Okay, I will just give you a second to get back to us on that, but I really hope that you have good news as far as becoming resident. Okay, let's see. We also have a question here.
Yeah, he says, I got approved on my birthday. Well, that's
Wow,
even crazy.
That's congratulations. That's really awesome. That's like a double celebration type of situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
If you're not partying hard, I don't know what's going to do it for you.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy for you. We also received a question here. Hi there, I filed for AOS in March and did biometrics and sent in my medical RFE to the NBC, which they requested. This was a month ago. They received it and no update yet. Confused as to next steps. It's completely normal, and it's for all of you guys. That's kind of what I was talking about, that when you do send your medical, after you receive an RFE, don't have super high expectations that it's going to get approved right away, because there has been so many people, even on these lives, who would be like, hey, I submitted it like a few months ago and I haven't heard anything. There's really not much that you can do at this point. It's just if the time becomes really unbearable and way too long, that's when you can start kind of poking and seeing what's going on. But for right now, it's just a waiting game. There's nothing that you need to do. Huge congratulations to you, because clearly they're waiving your interview, so that's awesome. It's so annoying that it takes them time afterwards and you don't know when. You're kind of like sitting there any day, it can get approved, but I just don't know when it's going to happen. That's why I always prefer that people send it with their initial application, but it doesn't really matter. And now it's just a matter of time. Just hold on to it. And for all of you guys, if you have not submitted your medical exam with your initial application, it's completely fine. You will just either send it as a part of your RFE or you will just bring it to the interview. That's not a problem at all. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, after filing I-130 and I-130A online, I would wait it to be approved before sending the other forms. And do I need to mail the I-130 filed already online? No, you do not need to send it because you filed it online. But whether you can send other forms totally depends on your particular situation. Normally, yeah, concurrent filing is permitted, and that's fine. But yeah, generally you would file Form I-130 and I-485 together. It just depends on your situation. That's why it's kind of hard to tell. Okay, let's see what's going on. Okay, I do want to real quick talk about the expediting of work permits. You guys keep dropping your questions and we're going to get over them. But I do want to talk about this because I'm just seeing even inside our program that this is a huge issue and people are really worried about work permits. So let's kind of talk about it. Just so all of you guys know, you can expedite anything. Any form can be expedited. The thing is that it's very hard to do that just because obviously the USCIS denies probably 99% of those requests. But when it comes to work permit, it is truly doable because think about it. You're living inside the United States. It's incredibly expensive. Everything is expensive. So when it's just one spouse working and another spouse is not working, it's challenging for a family. So your inability to earn income is a financial loss for your family. And that's speaking of the reasons why you can expedite a work permit. If you guys just Google USCIS expedite request, the first link is going to take you to the somewhat helpful page. I mean, generally USCIS is not very helpful. The website is just bad. But this one, I mean, it somewhat explains to you like how you can fall under one of the reasons. I have spoken to multiple immigration attorneys just trying to get their experience when it comes to expedite requests and compare it to what I know. And it looks like really the best bet you have to expedite your work permit is if you have a pending job offer.
Yeah.
Meaning, again, it's just going to fall under the financial loss. If let's say, you don't have a work permit, but you have a pending job offer, and obviously if they don't approve your work permit, now you lost this potential income. So that's the whole point. Expediting work permit is very, very easy. You literally just connect to AmmoChat, and unless you want to hang on the phone and call the 800 number, but AmmoChat is much easier. You just connect to an agent and you do ask them to expedite your work permit. They will always ask you, okay, what is the underlying reason for you to do that? And if let's say you do have a job offer, then you just tell them, I just have a pending job offer. And from there, they'll be like, okay, they will submit the request on your behalf. And then sometime later, there are really two ways on how it usually goes. The first way is they will reach out to you via email, which by the way, that email very often ends up in a spam folder, and they will ask you to fax your supporting documents. So if we're talking about a job offer, then obviously that's what you would fax to them. And then from there, they normally would approve it just because there is a job offer, although we've seen it also being denied numerous times. So sometimes you have to try a few times, because we just had a member of our program who did it 4 times, and on the 4th time, or was it third? Is it
third?
No,
or fourth,
I think it was
yeah.
3rd time.
Yeah.
Either 3rd or 4th, but I've seen it so many times. So very often you have to try it a few times just to make sure. But otherwise, sometimes, especially in the past, I would say about 6 to 8 months ago, there was a period of time where you would submit this expedite request through AmmoChat, and they would never even reach out to you for supporting evidence. They would just approve your work permit, which was a very sweet time, but it kind of ended. I don't know if it's happening anymore, but just not in my experience. And alternatively, what sometimes happens is that you do submit your expedite requests and you are not receiving an email. And time goes by, and like week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you're just not hearing anything back. At that point, I just assume that, okay, I'm just being ignored. My request is being ignored at the moment. And that's when you just submit another request. Sometimes when you connect to AmmoChat and you try to do it the second time, they will be like, nah, you just recently submitted, you need to wait a little bit longer. If that's the case, that's fine. You can at least try to do that. And then, like I said, sometimes you need to do it a few times to expedite it. And I do encourage all of you guys to try to do that, just because it is very expensive to live in America, and their inability to process these work permits fast, it's on them, it's not on you. Another thing is that they're not charging anything for these requests, so you might as well try.
Yeah, it's just your time at this point, and
and you have plenty if you're currently just waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing is, sometimes I've seen it before, it's kind of more rare, but it does happen as well. You can use past bills. So let's imagine that you're in a situation where you guys are actually financially struggling. It happens all the time. And you have some medical bills or some just past due bills that you're unable to pay at the moment because you're waiting for your work permit. You could try to use that to expedite as well. But otherwise, these are two biggest things: job offer, and then if you have any bills, that helps as well. Okay. Will my I-485 be denied if I do not submit my medical exam with it? It's not going to be denied. They're just going to issue an RFE and ask for it, meaning they will not be able to give you a green card without a medical exam. Like, that's a fact. Yeah,
and just for everybody who's like considering on applying or about to apply, just make sure that you do submit with your medical exam, because again, the new policy that the USCIS has recently implemented for waiving marriage green card interviews, one of the things that they require is that they have the medical exam. And then that's going to allow them to do it. But like she said, if you don't submit it, they're just going to send a request for evidence and request it from you.
Can military orders expedite the process? Yes, it can. That's one of the things that you can use is the military order, especially if your obviously spouse is being deployed and you need to deploy with them. Yes, you can. Again, just reach out to AmmoChat and they're going to be able to assist you. I got a very good question on our YouTube and I do want to bring it up because this happens all the time. My last entry to the US, I got a stamp on my passport, but when I checked the I-94 system, it does not match the date of my last entry. Should I be worried about it or just submit both my stamp on my passport and my last I-94? Okay, there are two ways on how you can go about this. By the way, again, happens all the time. So obviously they are just transitioning into a new system where they're not stamping passports anymore. So all of your records are now going to be online.
And just so you know, actually, guys, we posted a video on that on our YouTube channel about the fact that they're not going to be stamping passports.
And about these mistakes. So for you,
Yes.
Tracy, in particular, we do have a video on, yes, that they're not stamping passports anymore, but we do tell you how you can go and correct your I-94. So basically, there are two ways on how this can go, right? They make mistakes on I-94 all the time. So it's nothing new, and that always freaks people out because it's like, well, do they know that I actually entered the country on this day? Or do they know that I left the country and then re-entered? So there's some issues going on there. You can really do, you guys are the best. Thank you very much for answering our questions. Thank you so much, Khalif. I really appreciate you. You guys being here, it means everything. So thank you so much for your attention to what we do and for all of your questions. We appreciate you guys as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I-94. Let's imagine you look into your I-94 record and it's wrong. Like it's just showing a wrong date now when you entered. You could technically submit, like what Tracy's saying, can I just submit my stamp and my passport and my last I-94? You could, and theoretically the USCIS should be able to, put the dots together since it's their mess up.
Yeah.
But if you want to be on the safe side, there is a way to correct your I-94. You can just reach out to one of the they're called deferred action offices, and you can connect with them via email and basically explain them the situation, and they will tell you exactly what they need from you in order to correct your I-94. And they're very good. Like one thing about the USCIS is that it's real garbage, but this deferred action stuff, as soon as you reach out to them, they're very helpful and they're very responsive and they just correct it. You don't ever need to go into the office, which they do actually have physical offices, but normally you don't need to do that. And for you, Tracy, when you go into the video that we described, there is a link on how you can locate the office that is the closest to you. And from there, you can connect with them via email, you can call them, you can stop by if you want to, but they will be able to correct your I-94. Again, very, very common problem.
Mama Nat says, any tips for removal of conditions application? Well, let us know, like, what are you asking? Like, what do you mean, any tips? But I just want to, also say that for all you guys who are about to start on this process, we welcome you guys to apply to our marriage immigration method, because that's the thing is you are going to apply for the green card, you're going to do removal of conditions, and then you're going to do citizenship. So there's 3 processes, and that's going to span the next 3 to 4 years. And instead, we're down to be here all the time, answer you guys' questions. Yeah. But if you're looking for support and to know exactly what to do from the moment you start on your green card application and know that you're going to basically get through citizenship in these 3 to 4 years with support, that's why we ask you guys to apply. We want to take care of you guys through the entire thing so that there's no guessing anymore. There's no in the dark. And for those 3 to 4 years, it doesn't feel like hell and it doesn't feel like you guys are just on your own. So definitely, if you guys are just about to start or you haven't filed paperwork yet and you just want to make sure I did it right and I have someone to ask questions to regularly, and honestly, I want to support of other immigrant couples going through this, please reach out. We are accepting applications. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. Otherwise, when it comes to removal of conditions, there's not much to it. It's just I am seeing this. You know how they can invite you, obviously, for an interview during the removal of conditions. And I've noticed a couple things. If you submit a properly filled out I-751 petition, literally there are no mistakes, everything is right, the signatures are there, filing fees are there, everything is there, and you submit a ton of bona fide marriage evidence, I don't even care. As much as possible, even if it's freaking 200 pages, that is your way of avoiding an interview altogether and just getting your permanent green card in the mail. So for all of you guys, when you do go through that process, all you need to do is submit properly filled out application and a ton of bona fide marriage evidence, and you should be good to go. Technically, it's just a technicality, especially if you guys are still married at the time that you apply. That really all that matters, and it shouldn't be so complicated. But if you do want to avoid an interview, which I want all of my clients to avoid an interview because it sucks no matter, like, even if it's a 10-minute interview, it's still stressful, the pre-game.
Well, how about however long you know that you have this interview, you're going to be thinking about it.
Exactly.
And it's just going to escalate the closer you get to that date.
Exactly. It's actually really, like, it is a thing. Usually when it comes to an interview, they give you a little over a month. Like, they're letting you know that, hey, in about 5 weeks, you're going to have your interview. And those 5 weeks kind of suck. Like, they start fine. They're like, oh, okay, I'm excited. Like, I'm about to be done with this process. But then about 2 weeks in, you're like, okay, I'm kind of like dreading this process though. But what if they, obviously all of you guys have heard these horrible stories about how this can go.
Well, how about as human beings? What's our default? Always to imagine the worst case scenario. Always to try to prepare for, like, this is going to be the worst interview of my life kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you guys are just trying to avoid interview, for all of you, just keep collecting bona fide marriage evidence as you go. Even after you get your green card, nothing ends, because you know that you're still kind of on the hook before you become a citizen. So just keep going, keep collecting it, and your entire process is going to be much easier. And for all of you guys, you must file taxes together. That's a big one. For naturalization purposes, you have to be showing, because you're going to be naturalizing 3 years into this process and not 5 if you're married to a U.S. citizen. You do have to show a few things. So make sure that you guys are always filing taxes together, married jointly, and just keep collecting evidence. That's all that matters.
Jimmy asks, can I adjust status by marriage to a citizen if I worked without permission, but no false citizen claim?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that the USCIS, well, that's actually one thing that's a perk for marrying a U.S. citizen, is unauthorized employment is typically forgiven by the USCIS.
Yeah, there is some nuances, but if you're saying that there's no claim and no false docs were used, then there's really no consideration to it. Just make sure to let them know that you worked without authorization on your application, but otherwise you should be good to go. Another question is, can I marry my boyfriend and file for adjustment of status? He's entered the U.S. 2 months ago. Yeah, I don't see a reason why you can't. When couples are at this stage, when they're just considering doing it, I always advise them, please speak to a few different people, speak to us, speak to other lawyers, just to get an idea on how the process goes, because this is where you can make just mistakes that could have easily been avoided. So just spend some time on the research now, and that way the whole process is going to be so much easier. Okay, so, and this is a great question. I just got it on YouTube. Sorry to ask again, but what are your experience in expediting the travel permit? I feel like this is the most stressful thing, being able to go home or not. Yeah, I know. There's so many immigrants that I speak with daily who, let's imagine, have been on an F1 visa for a very long time and they haven't left the country in years, and now they're going through this process and they haven't seen their family for like 6, 7, 8 years, and they really need to go, and that's the biggest thing. Expediting a travel permit is doable. We just had somebody expedited inside of our program. It was a somewhat different situation. You do have to have a very valid reason. So it's not like you can be like, hey, I haven't seen my family in 7 years, approve my freaking travel permit, because they're just not going to do it. But otherwise, yeah, so long as you have a reason. Let's imagine your family member is either ill, or maybe your family member passed away recently. That can also be a reason why you could try to expedite. Just don't have super high hopes. For all of you guys, I will say this. I know that it's hard to expedite these things, and it all takes time, but I also know that many of you, the majority, vast majority of you, will be approved for a green card relatively fast. I think under 6 to 8 months. So if that is your situation, then maybe I would just wait a bit longer. But otherwise, yeah, at least try expediting and like see what happens. But otherwise, yeah, expediting a travel permit is a bit harder than expediting the work permit, at least in my experience.
Shay says, hi, I got an RFE saying we're below the poverty line, but we aren't. What might have caused that? Thank you. That's
a good question.
That is a good question.
They're idiots.
That's
the USCIS. That's why.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like we've seen it where you would submit a completely perfect application. They send it back and say, well, we didn't receive this. And you open it up and you're like, okay, but it's right there. So that's...
Also, I'm curious, how far above the poverty guideline are you? Because I have seen these RFEs when people are very close to the line. So if you're very, very close to the line, then I mean, it could explain it, which again doesn't make sense because I am above the line. Like even if I'm a little bit above the line, I'm still above it.
Yeah.
But they literally do issue an RFE saying that you need a joint sponsor. So I'm curious how far you are. If you are far from the line, then I would literally just resubmit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything extra.
In that case, it's just a USCIS mess up, and they do it all the time. I mean, yeah, that's the best we can say in that case.
I also think, at least that's my theory, that they have some sort of a quota on their RFEs, meaning they have to issue so many in like a month or 3 months, whatever the hell they do, that's why it happens, because I see a ton of erroneous RFEs. Meaning like people submitted their birth certificates, people submitted everything like with every form, and they still received an RFE for a birth certificate. It just doesn't make any sense.
They're over. Shay got back and said that they're over by a good amount. So
yeah, we're at 46K. This is 100% their mess up.
Yeah.
But another thing is that the form I-864 is confusing and it's kind of stupid. So here's what very often also happens, and it is for all of you guys as well. Very often what would happen is there's something wrong with your form. Maybe you didn't fill it out correctly or whatever. But when it comes to Form I-864, they always issue very generic RFEs. They're not telling you exactly what's wrong. They're basically inserting some generic language that they just copy-paste from their thing, and you're not exactly sure what's wrong. So if I were you, I would maybe look into the form to just make sure that you guys filled it out correctly, but either way you have to fill it out again and submit all the supporting evidence again, and you're more than welcome to reach out if you need help with that. But otherwise I would just resubmit the form. I would resubmit the W-2, all the pay stubs, taxes from last year. That's another thing, is are taxes from last year good? Because so technically, sorry, I'm gonna kind of go into it, but you guys need to hear this. So technically, your taxes from last year shouldn't matter, because what should matter is that you have steady income now. Meaning, if in January or February I got a job where I get paid $80,000, it doesn't matter that I didn't make it last year. And that is the USCIS rule. However, what they very often do is they're like, well, no, we know that your income right now is good, but we want to see taxes from last year. And we had it in our program, and the US citizen, the petitioner goes, I didn't even know her last year. I didn't even know that I was going to get married last year. Like, why does it matter that I don't have it on my taxes? I'm making more than enough right now. And unfortunately, they are just not following their own rules. So I don't know what exactly happened to you, but when it comes to I-864, those RFEs are very typical. Don't freak out, just do it again. Usually, even when you submit the exact same information, it goes through no problem, so I'm sure that's what's going to happen to you. Do you think that I-485 can be expedited due to new law in Florida? I'm in the process since January. So if you're in the process since January, you don't need to be concerned about that law. It does not apply to you in any way. Yeah,
at this point, you have a pending case, so you have lawful presence. So you shouldn't be worried about that, because that law is concerned with undocumented. So if, for instance, you were holding off on filing, and, for instance, your last visa expired, then you would technically fall into this range of being considered undocumented. But that's not your case, so you really shouldn't worry about it. And I don't think an expedite would work in that case.
No, they're not going to expedite it. They're just not going to do it. But either way, and it's for all of you guys, I know this kind of law shook things up and made people feel uncomfortable, and I did post a video on it, kind of like how you are supposed to act in case you are stopped, because like I know I'm hearing a lot of reports about some checkpoints, like some nonsense, complete nonsense, that they can just stop you and check your documents. If that's the case, then we live in some like weirdness completely. But either way, for those of you guys who recently applied or are about to apply, again, the law is not going into effect just quite yet. But for those of you who have applied, you're completely good to go. You have nothing to worry about. If you're really paranoid, I was when I was going through this process, I was really paranoid. You can just have your I-485 receipt notice on your phone, just like take a picture, or you can have it like in your documents, whatever, and in case anyone stops you, it's like you have a pending case, you have nothing to worry about. But I don't think that this law will warrant an expedite request approval. Okay, just give us one more second.
Whoops.
Sorry, you guys. There's how exactly would I join the program, as I didn't see how. You can just go into our bio and you can just schedule a call with us from there.
Yeah, this is the first link. It says the marriage immigration method. And yeah, that's how you can schedule a call with us. That's how we guide couples, like I was saying earlier, from the moment they apply all the way through citizenship. So you've got somebody to help you out and support you all along the ride for the next 3 to 4 years until you're completely freaking done with this experience.
Yeah. If this is a good question. If U.S. citizen spouse lives in a subsidized housing due to money, is that an issue even with a joint sponsor? No, it should not be an issue with a joint sponsor, because they're not caring about the U.S. citizen. They care if you ever applied for subsidized housing or if you are currently receiving any sort of welfare payments. That's what they care about, but they don't care about that. So on Form I-485, when it comes to public charge section, you will see that they're kind of asking those questions, but they're asking it about you and not about a U.S. citizen. So that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, I got my biometrics done on Tuesday. Work permit got approved Wednesday. Congratulations, the next day, but not I-131. I'm confused. Isn't it a combo card? If it was a combo card, you would know that it was a combo card. They kind of like, it's kind of obvious. But yeah, no, I-131 right now, or travel permit, is taking 10 to 12 months. So I think it's going to take you a bit longer. And again, it's very possible that you're just going to get your green card before anything else happens, so don't worry about that. Travel permit, they're just so bad. I don't even know what's the point anymore of applying for them, since you're just not going to get it. And now that they're raising the fees, now they are actually charging for a travel permit. So I wonder if now that they charge for it, it will actually be faster. But I kind of don't know. But we should see. We shall wait and see. Okay. Okay, this is a great question. I came here with an ASTA. Can we still start the marriage-based green card after my ASTA expired? Yes, you can, but only if you're married to a U.S. citizen. When it comes to ASTA is kind of tricky, because you can only adjust status from ASTA if you are married to a U.S. citizen. Not if you're married to a green card holder, it wouldn't work. So if that is your situation, then you can, and obviously reach out if you need any help, because you guys are just in the beginning of the process. That's where it's kind of like confusing and not clear. And also for all of you guys, we do have a mini course where we kind of break down these processes, just to, because people are always curious, what forms do I need to fill out? And we do give them to you and give you the filing fees, all of that stuff. In that mini course is just in our bio, so you can check it out and see if that's helpful. But yeah, you can. Eden says, my green card got approved. Congratulations. Oh, yes. That's another one today. That's awesome. And I remember they issued, okay, that's a weird situation that you had, because I will just share briefly, just because I remember you from other lives and we kind of briefly spoke, that you are a K-1 visa applicant, and that when you came to the U.S., you obviously applied you got married, applied for an adjustment of status, and that they still issued a request for evidence for your medical exam, even though you didn't have to submit it. So I'm curious, I kind of remember what you mentioned, that You just got back to them with your vaccination card. That's what you said, and they still approved your green card. That's kind of awesome. Congratulations. As you guys can see, they very often issue erroneous RFEs. This applicant was not supposed to receive an RFE on the medical exam just because they submitted it with their other process, with the K1 process. But that's so exciting. I'm very happy. And can you please share how long did it take after you responded to that RFE for them to actually approve your green card? Because like a lot of people kind of were curious about it after you send your medical. How long does it take to get a green card? And it seems like your wait was actually pretty short. So I'm really curious, but huge congratulations to you. We're very happy for you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, enjoy your status. Forget about immigration until it's time to think about the removal of conditions. But otherwise, yeah, huge congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for you. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, that's another great question. How to do concurrent filing for an adjustment of status? Can it be done online? Nope, it cannot. That's the craziest thing, is that in 2023, it cannot be done
Still
online.
not online.
No, it can be. But basically, you can submit Form I-130 and I-130A online, but it just doesn't make any sense to me, since there's going to be a ton of paperwork that you're going to be doing on paper, so you just might as well send everything on paper. Otherwise, if you will be submitting it online, then you will just need to print out those receipt notices for I-130 and submit it with your adjustment of status application. But no, it cannot be done online, only on paper. Okay, another great question.
And also, I just want to say really quick, Lucille, thanks again for joining us on YouTube. We've seen you here before, so thank you for joining and asking your questions.
Yeah, we're very happy to see you here. Hi, I had my marriage-based interview May 10. I got my I-130 approved today. How long until I-485 gets approved? For all of you guys, this now happens all the time. Basically, what they would do is they would approve Form I-130, although sometimes they approve Form I-485 first, which I prefer because it's a green card form. But either way, it can take no time, meaning your I-130 and your I-485 can be approved at the same exact time, like on the exact day, but maybe just a few hours apart. Sometimes the I-485 would be approved the next day. Sometimes it takes a few days. Nothing crazy, like less than a week. But another thing you guys need to know is that very often they forget to update the status online, meaning you're not even receiving an update. So in these cases, or in this particular case, a person would get an approval of Form I-130, and it's like, where's my I-485? You know what's going on? And nothing happens, and then they just receive a green card in the mail, meaning obviously I-485 got approved, and they get an approval notice as well. So it just really depends, but either way, in your situation, you are done, because they would never approve I-130 without approving the I-485. So huge congratulations to you.
Yes.
Your I-485 will get approved probably either today or within the next couple days. And please update us on when you actually get your green card. We're very excited. And for all of you guys, what is very important is for you to check everything on your green card when you get it. Because very often, obviously, like there are obvious mistakes, right? Like in your name, in your date of birth, and in your sex. That happens all the time. But they're not so obvious mistakes, such as your category. You always need to check your category, because not so long ago, I've seen this case. It was just horrible. And just because of the wrong category that was on the green card, the person was not able to naturalize. It just caused so many issues. So as soon as you receive your green card, for all of you guys, please make sure that the category is correct and all the biographic information. And huge congratulations to you when you guys do get it, because that's very, very exciting. Okay, let's get through a few more questions.
I'll answer one real quick. NS on YouTube says, it seems people are getting their work permit approved straight after biometrics, like a day after. Is this a norm? Because it didn't happen to me. Well, I'm really sorry it didn't happen to you. And it's
not a norm.
It's not a norm. I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier. Really, one of two things happen. Like, that can be the case. But then very often people will get a green card before they get a work permit. It's just kind of ridiculous, but the USCIS has no rhyme or reason. Just kind of feels like they're just kind of happening.
Is it okay to travel during the adjustment of status application process if my visa is still valid? Absolutely not. Only if you have a dual intent visa, like an H-1B visa. Otherwise, no, you cannot travel during this process. And I've seen cases like that where, people couldn't wait. They didn't wait for a travel permit or for a green card. They traveled, re-entered back on their visa, and got denied at the interview because of this recent travel. They will make sure to ask you about it, and they will see your record, and you would have to refile the form I-485, which just completely sucks, so don't do that. You cannot travel unless you have a dual intent visa. Hi, we got an RFE asking for medical exam. Does it mean our interview will be waived? Yes, it does. It means that your interview got waived. Huge congratulations.
Yes.
It's just, I just mentioned it earlier, but for you, in case it's taking a little bit of time for them to approve your green card after you send it, don't freak out. It does take them some time, but at this point you can just relax. No interview, and you're just going to get your green card in the mail. Huge congratulations. I also wanted to say regarding the YouTube video.
Yeah, we just posted one. It went live just a little bit ago, and it's breaking down literally the work permit situation. We talk about a few timelines. We talk about, what else did we talk about in that?
We do share timelines, and we do teach you how to check it for yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's just a very helpful video because, again, it's all about the work permit situation because people are completely freaking out about it. So it just got posted. You guys definitely check it out, and please check out our latest video on our member timeline, just so that you have an idea on how long it takes. And we did mention the field office and everything.
Yeah, in the member video, that's on our TikTok, and then the work permit one, that's on our YouTube. What were you going to say?
Exactly. What else did I want to say? Just regarding setting healthy expectations. For those of you guys who are just in the beginning of this process, you do need to know, or for those of you who have been waiting for a little bit of time. Yeah, all of you, really. This is a very mentally interesting process because it kind of you kind of focus on it and it's hard to let it go. And you know how when you stare at the clock at school, right? We've all been at school when we hated a freaking class and we just stare at the clock, but it doesn't move. It's like, okay, I looked at it 2 minutes ago, but it feels like 25 minutes ago has gone by. So just for all of you guys, just know that there is no point in really getting too hung up on this process. But like I said, I shared that member timeline, and it's really great because I included a screenshot of what she said, and she did say that kind of being disconnected from that process was very helpful, and then just magically she got approved. I have noticed that those people who treat this process just as a temporary, experience and everything is going to be great, there are going to be no complications, it always works out that way. There are no complications. But kind of when you sit on it and dwell on it and you hate it, I hated it, it goes on for much longer, and it did for me. So don't do that. Try to just be positive. I know it's hard, especially with all the political agenda in the country, with all the political division, always talking about immigrants in kind of a negative light. I'm sick and tired of it. But all of you guys are going to get through this process in no time. I'm not worried about that at all. Especially for those of you guys who applied within the last year, you're going to be done in no time. I can see that everything is happening much faster. And then with the increased filing fees, also obviously the hope is that you're going to get through this process in no time. I did want to answer another question real quick. As a German citizen or ASTA holder, can I do adjustment of status? Yes, absolutely, as long as you're married to a US citizen. Otherwise, you should be good to go. But there are some obviously nuances depending on when you entered, when you got married, when you were applying, those types of things. But if you need any help with this process, just book a call with us and we can go from there. Okay. Yeah, how long is it taking for work permits? Mine is in review since 2 months ago after bio-filing on January. 2 months completely normal. Again, that's regarding the healthy expectations. 2 months totally normal. Just wait a bit longer. Again, I'm honestly kind of excited when people don't get a work permit for a long time because then they get a green card instead of a work permit.
Yeah, and screw it. You got the better one anyways now.
Exactly. That's all that. Okay. So regarding the approved green card after the medical RFE, my whole process was only 2 months. I can't believe it.
Wow.
2 months. Like, we had that in our group, in our program, but it's just so hardcore. I'm very, very happy, and it's huge congratulations to get through this process in 2 months. It's some crazy blessing. But by the way, I noticed that it's K1 visa applicants who are getting through this process in 2 months. I don't know why, but probably because they already scrutinized the couple, and it's like they already know everything. You know what I mean? There's really no point. So I have noticed that K1 visas, they get approved in very, very short period of time, and always with a waived interview these days. So huge congratulations to you. I'm very happy for you guys. Again, if you guys have any other questions that you would like us to address, you can just drop them under our last video here on TikTok or our last video on YouTube, and we will make sure to go through your comments and respond to you. Otherwise, check out our latest video, check out our free resources in our bio.
Yes.
And connect with us if you guys need anything, if you have any questions.
Yeah, and that's the last question I'll say is Can says, how do I join your group? Literally, go on our bio. We have links on YouTube. We have our link on our bio. You'll see right there the marriage immigration method. You can book a call with us. And then, we can talk about it. And we can get started. Like I said, if it works out and it looks like it's the right move for both of us to work together, like you said, we guide you through the entire thing from start until you're done. And
and thank you so much to all of you guys for being here. It's really big, having an audience and having you guys reach out to us. We received so many questions, and we received yesterday I received a crazy message where the person was saying that they do have a lawyer, but the lawyer is completely no help, and they're trying to figure out on their own how to expedite a work permit, and it always hurts me to hear it. But that's why we're here. We know that the power is in the knowledge. So long as you know how certain things are done, you don't need to rely on anybody, and feel like you know what I mean? So long as you guys know what's going on, you feel less anxious and you feel more confident about this process, and that's why we do it. So if you have any questions, any concerns, if you're really anxious about even the waiting time, reach out to us, drop the comment, because we're all going through this process together. I'm feeling this for every client of mine, literally still. I can't believe it, but I thought that when I was going to be done with my citizenship, it was going to be a done deal. But I feel for you guys. I literally do. And I know that it's stressful and it's painful in its own ways. So if you guys need any help, please reach out. Don't hesitate. And we're very excited.